Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's your favorite one. Hey, so it's Miss Peaches up here. I'm up here about to I want to pull some cards. I've been having an urge. I really got a few downloads before I came. So let me start off with the best way I can come into it. That I want to pull the cards, right? I really want to pull the cards to kind of get prepared for this Mercury retrograde more than anything. I want to first and foremost say that. Now, the reason why I want to do that is because the way that my spirit guides brought me the message, right? So, of course, the Super Bowl happened 1 week ago, 7 days, all right? So, I did watch the Super Bowl game, but I did not watch the Super Bowl halftime show. I was guided just not to, so I even left my place. I told somebody about it, and they watched it. I said, just let me know how it was, because it seemed like it's going to be very symbolic, and it's just not my time to watch it. Anywho, let's fast forward. So, I scroll on social media. So it seemed like on these platforms, everybody hit the feet traveling. Like, all these people of nationality on all these different social media platforms have an opinion really threw me. It threw me so much that I was happy that some of that didn't start coming on my feed now. Today, before coming up here, I finally watched the halftime show. I really had to take a minute before coming to do the video because I really had to process all that download. Now, one thing I agree with everybody, it is a lot of symbolism. It affected me in a different way, like in my personal life. But it didn't come until Salsa and them had that one song and she dressed in red. I don't fuck with that red pill shit like that. Ain't no man gonna have my soul like that. If we ain't partners, if I ain't your helpmate, we can't fuck around. So, I'm just saying my effect. But once again, I didn't find it with it being political, all the views that people had for the social media, even saying that Trump was going to get assassinated through the tarot cards and everything. And none of that occurred. I can't say a lot of them had in common, like I said, something where it was going to go down. And I mean, I just thought it was the fact that Philly won, but no, that halftime show, even with Samuel Jackson being there, is kind of interesting. Also, because the last name Jackson is part of the Constitution and presidents and everything else. So, I'm not going to unpack all that symbolism. But this is what I got plans to do. Because I'm not. It is way too. I'm not here. I'm going to say it like this. I'm not here to disagree with anything. I kind of more observative. And I observed before watching the halftime show. I just watched it today. Sunday, February 17th. So, I'm 7 days after the fact. I watch all the criticism ahead of time. So, this could be where they communicated through. I know Mars is definitely retrograde right now. For sure. Is Jupiter still retrograde? Did it go direct? Let me see. I really don't know. I did a little bit of research. I didn't do a whole lot. No, Jupiter has went direct. So, that could be my influence too with it. But anywho, like I said, I think for the outcome of it, because it had me recognize, I wrote down some notes of the common planets. So, on February 9th, I noticed that Mercury was with Aquarius at 21 degrees and 45 seconds. And this is 2025, which is a 9, right? 7 is a very significant number even for Kendrick Lamar, because it had me do a lot of research. Like, it's kind of interesting, like 2023, the way that they showed me 2023 and 2024 Super Bowl had at least 5 performers up inside of there, where Kendrick Lamar only had 1 performer, and that was Salsa with him. For real, for real. As they gave credit to. What I found also was interesting was the number 50 was on the field when it comes to this. So Pluto is at 2 degrees 21 seconds. So we got 21 3 times. I'm just saying we just really do. So now the North Node, Neptune, and Saturn is all in Pisces. And today they are too. And Chiron and Venus was in Aries. And Venus about to go retrograde too. That'll be for another video to tag in with this. I'm not ready to do both of those at the same time, because for real, that Super Bowl halftime show really ran through me. And I want to process one thing at a time, and I want to work on Mercury first before working on Venus. But I know both of these retrogrades going to be very imperative for the planetary assessment. I'm pretty sure of that. And it's about 30 days from this point where Mercury going to go retrograde in Aries, where Venus is already at. And then they're going to meet back up in Aries again. In the beginning, I think, what was it, the beginning of May? They're going to meet back up in Aries again. Okay? So, I found it interesting that on March the 2nd is the day that Venus started her retrograde, right? And going to retrograde back into Pisces. And that also totals to a 5. But anywho, I'm just putting in the codes inside my body, so as I interpret these cards, these messages could come out, and hopefully it give you guidance too, based on, you know, whatever you got going on. And especially if you watch the Super Bowl effect, it really had a lot of symbolism up in there. So it'd be great guidance when this Mercury retrograde happened to consider some of that symbolism coming full force, because, you know, it's still going to be a full moon during the retrograde period, right? The moon going to still do its own thing. So what I'm going to start off with, I love these cards right here. I love these designs of these cards. So I'm going to start off with my circle of life, right? And from my circle of life, I'm going to roll some astro dice. And then we're going to get into more card pulling, but we're going to first get a sense of the foundation. I'm going to try to gather some information from the universe on a way to give us the best guidance for this Mercury retrograde. Okay? All right. Oh, yes. Let's get into this card pulling. So, like I said, I want to get one card from here first. And as I get one card from here, we're going to go to dice. So, I want y'all to kind of see this card pulling time frame. So, hey, universe, I'm going to start right there. And let's get into this reading right here to make this video kind of straight into the point as swift as possible. Okay. When I have one card for the foundation of guidance, like this Super Bowl, I really do believe it's going to be part of this Mercury retrograde energy here. And when it comes to it, what is this field that going to be of equality for all of us? What's this energy? What's this foundational field here? This foundation energy field here. May we have one card? Oop, that's too many. We're going to start off with just one. I know I got to shuffle these different, but I like y'all. There you go. So, this is very beautiful. So, we have the Four of Swords that says came out here. Now, one thing I like is all the color. Because the Super Bowl was very colorful, right? Everybody said, noticed the flag into it. So, I was like, okay, I peeped game on it. You know what I'm saying? So, it was very colorful, right? So one sword could be the blue, one sword could be the red, one sword could be the white, and one sword could just be you yourself, okay, within that foundational platform of it. Now, don't get me wrong, traditionally the Four of Swords is all about chill, relax, think about things, you know, just take a step back. But in me asking the question of how it's going to be so relatable, and from a subconscious point of view, our subconscious is always laying dormant, right? So it can be like this symbolism that's here. And based on the way you want to interpret this card, this symbolism is definitely going to be part of the Mercury retrograde. So either my vibrations is very strong to draw this card out, or we're on a path to definitely an interesting confirmation message of guidance. Okay? So now, I only want to use one hand. So universe, let's get some connections with house power, zodiac power, and planetary power. Whether these planets is here or not, give us our story because we all come with our astrological coordinations. Can I get an astrological coordination for this reading here for Mercury retrograde? Okay, so the zodiac energy, we have Cancer. Okay, we have Cancer. For the house energy, we have the 12th house. Okay, the house of secrets. So that's very great because Mercury retrograde haven't came upon us yet. And then for the planet, we have the sun. Now I find this very interesting because the sun is in Aquarius and Mercury was in Aquarius for the Super Bowl on February 9th. It's currently in Pisces at this present time. Okay. Pluto, which is not a ruling planet over the 12th house at all, right? But Pluto is also associated with secrets, roots, ancestry, history, and all of that stuff. And it's sharing also in Aquarius energy. Now, it's giving us Cancer though, right? For the primary energy when we're talking about this. So Cancer is I feel. So when we're talking about blending in the Four of Swords and the I feel, right? When do we have this I feel feeling, right? So we're more on the path of confirmation because the I feel feeling happened then. Now, it probably might have been a contagious effect based on how many people, like, the social media platform went off. So I even had a contagious effect. I tapped on to see people reactions, right? So the I feel comes in many ways, and also where the 12th house could be representing my social media trending feed, could be my connection to it. Now I did today finally watch it, so now with the sun, right? Because the sun is your sun sign, the thing that talks, the way you perceive things, the way people perceive you, right? So in a perceptional view of it, right, I'm able to interpret these cards the way I am. That's why I'm saying, okay, mine came through social media. I broke down the days 7 days later. So 7 days is going to be important, which it has been. Like, when I finally watched the video and I saw that part with her with the red uniform on, because it has symbolism from all over the place. I saw Squid Games. I saw Divine Feminine. I saw so much up in there, right? So on a personal level, it's becoming into a alpha female, recognizing my alpha female qualities and taking hold of this transformation within inside of it to make myself comfortable and livable on earth, where there is a social system that still is an energetic field. It's a force field that is maintaining exists in the environment, right? So me feeling that, I just went through a week of out of the blue. Somebody new just sent me some pics, and like, it was a whole situation. I was like, oh, I feel like being mischievous. Now, am I feeling my mischievous? And this is all in the Four of Swords, right? Because this is the things awakening, right? And with the Cancer and what I feel, right? So now I'm catching up to the Super Bowl. Now I'm looking at my situation like, oh, man. So, yeah. So now I got Judge, 12th house too, right? And with the sun being in Aquarius, right, it's shining on me, right? So in a deep consciousness, I was really sincere about my battle that I had with one of my soulmates. And in the temptation, in the new way of my judgment style of it, right? It came about. Now, I understand everything, and now my strength and my power is back normalized, because the situation got me a little bit shifty. That Cancer energy, that water energy, you know what I'm saying? I got a little bit of, not emotional, but I was feeling things, trying to figure out, what do I want? How do I want this? And inside of that relationship, I also was like, I don't want this, but I'm going to walk through this door for my ancestors. But it's a new wave of time. So, some of those opinions of new times was also in it. But I'm saying, don't just look at it broadly. Find where it is in the inner part of it, okay? So let's get a few more cards right here. Right? Let's get an oracle card or two. So, and get prepared for this Mercury retrograde. What is a good yin and yang path to walk? What is the gray lining, the silver lining that's going to be inside to let me get my words together. All right, universe. Can I get a card that help out with the silver lining in the preparation of Mercury retrograde? There I go. My thought and my tongue were both moving at the same time. They was trying to line up, but I had to take that pause for the cause to get it there, right? Four of Swords. Take that pause for the cause. And that's how simple a relaxation moment can be and be beneficial. Make sure you find the pause for the cause also in this Four of Swords, right? I don't have no point to prove. And that could be my energy that's fueling, you know? But everybody look at or define no point to prove in their own way of reaction. Their reaction might not be the same as mine. So now I have one oracle card for the silver lining in preparation for Mercury retrograde. You gave me 3 of them. Whew. Those are some pretty cards. I ain't gonna say they ain't. Alright, I want one. This deck is so good. It's just so hot for the conversation. It can bring out so many point of views, you know? How history is. Maybe have one card. Alright, there you go. We have the heart transmission that has came out. We have the heart transmission. So actually, what would the heart transmission actually mean? Well, for me, I was truly in mine, and I don't have no point to prove. Now, for some of my energy, I'm just going to use myself as an example since I've been using this relationship dynamic, right? So far as like Mercury retrograde, and I've been looking at these cards to be beneficial for myself, right? And it said the heart transmission. So that's telling me now that it's out with this Cancer that then came out. Now, his energy also going to play a role. It's not just going to be about my mind, because it says the heart transmission. So when Mercury retrograde come around, I got to make sure, like, let me say it like this. I'm the type of person that gets so comfortable when my point is finally proved that I know when the heart transmission go across, it's going to make him feel uncomfortable, because in his style of not caring, right, he going to get this vibration like he could, you know, most times he's in an attitude where he don't remember how he thought on the situation to regulate his emotions, right? So because he have memory gaps on the way that he think out to cope with his emotions, he gonna be like, oh, okay, why am I feeling her energy now? What did I sit here and do? And in the midst of it, even though we had conversations and he could have reached out, he might have forgot that they coming back with an answer during the Mercury retrograde. So I have many opportunities with the sun shining, right? I have many opportunities with the Four of Swords to sit back and chill and be like, before this Mercury retrograde, how do I really protect myself? Now, for me in this situation, it's going to be tough to balance out protection, because overprotection can transmit too much negativity and never giving this contract the valid love that it holds. See, for me in a soulmate contract like this, I lay mine on a foundation of love, right? So I feel like people in relationships do deserve second chances. I believe people in the world deserve second chances. Matter of fact, I don't really have a set, to be honest, if we're doing a heart transmission, I really don't have a second amount to define a second chance, okay? But what I do have is a human reaction that can interfere with my moral compass based on how the pain entered my heart. So I try to strive with being humble enough and strong enough and have enough protection that I might could feel the impact before I try to dish something that I cannot take. Right? And that's where that Cancer be at. It is hold deliver, right? I'm talking for my Cancer, I feel. By 12th house, revealing within the mysticism of describing how to prepare for Mercury retrograde, right? With the sun energy. Okay? So I'm saying when it comes to this, right? What is the true, what going to be the true transmission? You know, I talked to my daughter, for example. My daughter was like, I saw that he said Black Lives Matter. Okay. But I didn't ask her was under what creed. Do Black Lives Matter long as we could kill each other? Or do Black Lives Matter to the point that we could walk away from each other? See, there's a true heart, right? Decision of symbolism that's up inside of here, right? So for some people that's on that kind of path right there, right? Which one do you really mean? So watching from social media platforms and all these white people giving all this praise, right? When it comes to them. So what do you mean by freedom? Because the number 5 also represents freedom. And he also had one, and Aries was very prominent with the Chiron and Venus, right? So he only had salsa. For real. It was other female actors, performers, dancers that was out there, don't get me wrong. But I noticed how some scenes he went total man and some scenes he had total women. So what does diversity means at a point in time? Now that's where the political part going into, and that's going to be very interesting when Mercury retrograde hit too, but I don't want to talk about all of that. I want to talk about us down here, us little people, and these decisions so we could make it through the political storm. You know what I'm saying? For real. So sometimes in situations, like even with my soulmate contract, they're putting out really good energy, whether you understand the correct vibration. You know, artificial intelligence is very much growing. I just had a conversation with my grandson, and we was talking about this challenge. And I said, you know, for real, since I've been upgrading lately, because I've been doing a lot of research lately and upgrading my technical knowledge, I say, you know what? I say AI can make anybody look like they eating something. It's so many effects now. What do you know to be true? And even in that Super Bowl, that's one of the questions that came about that is going to be unlocked. A lot of people haven't said it, but that's going to be the first thing to let us know when Mercury is going into retrograde. That's going to be the guide on a lot of symbolism. It's going to be our warning flag. We have very much a merger going on. And it's very interesting, because I'm at the time where I get to witness it, different from other people. Even though I'm witnessing it with people who just speak of it in a perception and interpretation that fits comfortable with their characteristics. It's not the fact I'm an outcast. It just appears that I'm an outcast because of the language that's being used and who's using it. So, let's see. What is this hot transmission talking about? I just gave a whole speech. So, was I misguided? Was I on point with it by using myself as an example? What would his heart, how would his heart transmission be? The blinking and the hermit laddering in preparation for Mercury retrograde. One more card, please. Mm. Look at me some tough cards here. Look what they came out with. First two cards they came out with is the Ace of Wands, right? And the Three of Wands, right? I'm up here had the card. Yeah, the Three of Wands. See that? Ace of Wands, Three of Wands. So me, like, I use aces also as confirmations, as yeses. Okay? So we had a masculine performer. So we have also the Ace of Swords. Second, the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords could also represent social media platform. And the Three of Wands could be coming in as evidence because people always take a moment, whether they're going to make a quick video, whether they doing it, like social media is an occupation, it's part of the economical growth. Okay? So competition, competitiveness is there, right? So waiting for the right message to come across. What is an influencer? Just like I talked about that social media and AI, influencers use the same thing that non-influencers use. Editing software. Think famous news companies and everything that haven't been editing everything the whole time before social media ever came about. So in that symbolism and history, especially with this 12th house here, our history going to count. Because, you know, our history make us into our moral compass. And our moral compass is another way of the universe looking at us through our natal chart from an astral projection point of view. So even him came out in some of his songs and talked many a times about how, hey, even if God is watching, I'll rip your ass out the Bible. You know, there has been many movies. We talking about Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords, Three of Wands, right? And the Four of Swords, right? Because that's the foundation of it all. Let's not forget the Four of Swords here, right? That's the crowning of this reading, right? So something that's laying dormant would definitely be consistent with the 12th house. What's common in a lot of spiritual platforms is the Age of Aquarius. So the sun is already there. Jupiter going direct is definitely an impact and a forecast for predictions of many. And when we're talking about heart transmission and all of this, where Aries having Chiron and Venus, right? How close more can we get? So we're talking about a 1. And he had one performer with him. But the 1 is still omnipresence. So even in the design of the symbolism, the omnipresence is what's going to take control. The omnipresence of self with the 1. So mine, for some people you might could relate. I'm all about my spiritual path. I'm all about humbleism. I'm all about much as I can do with it. Because regardless of it, I'm still conscious to know the law of plurality. So even when I say I felt mischievous, my mischievousness is still within the law of plurality, right? Because if he wasn't sending that energy, and it was the universe sending me that energy, I'm receiving the positive in the Four of Swords. So if no harm is meant to come to none, it is within my flesh, my human nature, to be mischievous, which is the negative aspect of the output. See, in everything that happens, it's always a chemical reaction. And on that field, those triangles was definitely one. Even with the X and the O's. Because the O's could be degrees. The X could just be a design in the astrological projection. Just like the X's could just be trines. Geometry is part of everything. And once again, he didn't talk about my relationship, but what I'm saying is, archangels has been told to get in fights. It was a story, Archangel Michael was deceived, failed to be Lucifer, because he was the greatest angel. So archangels have wars. So in the lyrics of symbolism, we got to make sure we understand what we focus on. And guess what we have for the shadow card? Ain't this beautiful? The Four of Swords. That was the crowning card of our reading, and the Four of Swords is the shadow card of our reading. That is so beautiful. Thank you, universe, for this gift, this blessing, this talent, for trusting me to do these messages on a conscious and unconscious level that I don't have the right word to say. But I give you my gratefulness through this reading. And it's like we essencing with the shadow card is, what is this one? Paradigm shift. So, in the new language of the world, paradigm shift is what it is that I described, right? That's what the Super Bowl was about. So thank you all who comes by